With that last activity in the back of your head, we're going to read this note on identity from Beverly Daniel Tatum's The Complexity of Identity. Who am I? And some of you may know that Beverly Daniel Tatum is a renowned author, psychologist, and educator who's written many books, and you guys should definitely check out some of her work. And this Who Am I activity, the I am that we just did, is actually something she does in her own classroom. So rather than reading this, I was going to ask Professor Miralles or Montalvo to maybe have one or two of you guys read over this. And while you're reading this and afterwards, to reflect on some of these questions we have down here at the bottom, which is, what is Daniel Tatum saying about our identity? About what parts of our identity we are highlighting and what parts we aren't mentioning at all. So just think about that, and once we kind of read over it, to drop your answer in the chat. So I'm going to ask them to pause the video so you guys have a chance to read it and maybe talk about it and discuss what's in the chat. And then you can play the last little bit of me just kind of talking about some of the things that I've noticed. So I hope you guys had some good conversations about what either you put down even in the last activity, how you identified yourself, and what things maybe you left out. One thing I like about this activity is it always kind of reminds me to think about the areas that I take for granted, that where I do have privilege, where I am aligned with that dominant kind of culture. For example, being a heterosexual male is not something that I always think about in terms of my privilege. When I walk into a space, I don't feel like I'm wearing something that people are going to notice. And that's something that it's good just to kind of be aware of, that some people, when they walk into a space, they may have things that maybe are outwardly different about themselves that are going to be immediately noticed, and other things that maybe we choose to hide because we know they're not part of the dominant culture. However, we are still holding that internal baggage, and it's something that we carry with ourselves all the time. Hopefully, it gave you a chance to think about those things and to think about um, the things that you choose to kind of share when you talk about your identity, and maybe some of those very purposeful choices that we make every day when we're talking to certain people in one area versus when we're talking to maybe certain people in another area, and that code switching about maybe even what you can say or what parts of your identity you feel comfortable enough with saying. So I hope that that was helpful, and that's all for me here.